So I have to tell you that I was asked to fill in for Luella to do the reading, and when she told me it was going to be about Amos, and then later on I learned, well, actually it's about Jonah, and then I asked Jackie, well, what part of Jonah? And she says, well, maybe all of it. So I was about to come up here and say, 4 chapters, buckle up, we're going to be in for a long read. Early this morning, she sent a précis of that, certain readings, which makes it a lot easier. And of course, Monica tells the story much better than any reading could because you get to see the visuals as it's going on. So I thought, that's great. So I'm just going to, in introducing this, fill in some other pieces you may not be aware of. And for me, geographical context is important as well, because when I read Nineveh, where is that? Well, actually, Nineveh is modern-day Mosul in Iraq, in northern Iraq. So Mesopotamia includes both Babylon in the south and Assyria in the north. And Nineveh, or Mosul, if you like, is about 8,000 years old. So it's got a very long history. It's at a bend in the Tigris River. And Assyria was a superpower in that time. So asking Jonah to go to Nineveh to say that it's going to be destroyed would be like God coming to you and saying, I want you to go to Washington and tell them that it's going to be destroyed in 40 days or something like that. And you go, yeah, not me. So part of all of this is we can all see a little bit of us in Jonah when we're not feeling quite so willing to agree or answer God's call or whatever. And I've been there a few times, but eventually sometimes you realize that God is really calling you and you better answer. And I think Jonah came to that conclusion as well. And then this story is actually part fable, part folklore, humor, and allegory. And it was written, we don't know exactly who wrote it, but it was written around 400 years before the Common Era. And it's actually about an obscure Galilean prophet it's based on who was about 750 years before the Common Era. So it was written a couple of hundred years afterwards, and I'm sure the message is the important part. The actual details, well, you can judge for yourself how much of it is fable and how much of it is true. Please join me in the prayer of illumination. God, we ask that you open our ears and our hearts to your message so that we may understand your plan for us. Amen. So reading from chapter 1 of Jonah, verses 1 to 3. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, Go at once to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come before me. But Jonah set out to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So Tarshish, by the way, is the opposite direction. It's in southern Turkey, modern-day Tarsus. So he went down to Joppa, modern-day Tel Aviv, and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid his fare and went on board to go with them to Tarshish, away from the presence of the Lord. Reading from Jonah 3, 1 to 5 and 10. The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time, saying, Get up, go to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim to it the message that I tell you. So Jonah set out and went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly large city, a 3 days' walk across. Jonah began to go into the city, going a day's walk, and he cried out, 40 days more, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And the people of Nineveh believed God. They proclaimed a fast, and everyone, great and small, put on sackcloth. When God saw what they did, how they turned from their evil ways, God changed his mind about the calamity that he had said he would bring upon them, and he did not do it. And reading from Jonah 4, 1 to 5. But this was very displeasing to Jonah, and became angry. He prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, is not this what I said while I was still in my country? That is why I fled to Tarshish at the beginning. For I knew that you are a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love, and ready to relent from punishing. And now, O Lord, please take my life from me, For it is better for me to die than to live. And the Lord said, Is it right for you to be angry? Then Jonah went out to the city and sat down east of the city and made a booth for himself there. And he sat under the shade of the tree, waiting to see what would become of the city. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.